nutrition in general can mess with your mind quite a lot. I think it's overcomplicated massively, and people procrastinate on it massively and overcomplicate it when it doesn't need to be. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining a bit about how I treat my diet, going from like a fat loss phase to an improvement phase to a maintenance phase and things like that, and how I just keep it nice and simple, because we can overthink ourselves into making poor decisions and poor choices. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how I move through the phases and what I do with my nutrition, and hopefully you find some value in that, because I don't like thinking about things too much, and I really enjoy the foods that I have. And no matter what phase I'm in, I tend to keep the base of those foods the exact same. Now, to some people, they might say that's boring, but it's absolutely not, because A, it tastes good, B, it fits in with my goals, and C, I still have variety and flexibility within that, but I just keep the base of things the same. So I always recommend to have 2 or 3 meals that you enjoy for maybe breakfast, lunch, dinner, along with maybe the odd snack here and there or something like that. More often than not, we need to just focus on the meals that you are having, and you already have a diet. You just better need to tweak it to your goals. It needs to suit your goals a little bit more. So for me, my first meal of the day, and right now it's 10:30, a little bit later than I normally would, but I'm having my first meal now as well. So I'm loving oats at the moment. I'm doing overnight oats, and yes, this isn't just for me. I've done it for Mia and Kat as well in here, because we're in this Airbnb at the moment. So I'll either have hot oats or overnight oats at the moment. Now that stays in my diet, whether I'm fat loss phase or whether I'm gaining. Right now I'm around about maintenance. My food is a lot higher than it was before the wedding and things like that. But I know now, because I've calculated everything, how many calories this is going to kick out. Now if I go onto MyFitnessPal, which I've got my phone here, this is going to be 573 calories. Loads of protein in here as well. It's like 46 odd grams, I think, maybe more. And in here, I've got around 50 grams of rolled oats. I've got 100 mils of semi-skim milk. I've got 10 grams of Biscoff spread, some cinnamon, and 30 grams of whey protein. And then now I'm gonna slap on some Greek yogurt. I'm gonna put some frozen fruit on there and 10 grams of dark chocolate. And that's kicking out 573 calories. Now, if I'm in a fat loss phase, I don't need to overthink things and completely change what I'm having. I will still have this, but you can make it higher in calories and bulk it out more, or you can reduce the calories but keep the concept of the food the exact same. For example, instead of the milk, I would likely either go to, well, typically I would have almond milk, but we didn't have any, and we're using up everything in the Airbnb because we are leaving in a couple of days' time. So normally I would have almond milk, less calories as well. Or if I'm right in the bin with calories, I will go with just water. Then another way to have the same meal, but then take more calories out, I'll take the Biscoff spread out, and I wouldn't be having that. I'll probably take the dark chocolate out at some point as well. So I'm still having the same food, but I'm just taking out the things that are making it higher in calories. Yes, it might taste slightly different, but not to the point where you're gonna notice it. And that way is an easy way to then save calories. Then, at whatever stage I am at dieting, I would probably adjust the amount of oats that I'm having as well. And I could make having the same meal a good 200 to 300 calories less. The same way that if I was to be bulking or going through like an improvement phase, you can bulk out the same meal. So it doesn't need to be overcomplicated and think to yourself like, oh, what can I eat now to get in more food? I need to completely change what you're doing. No, you don't. You can bulk out what you are already having. So going from maybe water, the Biscoff spread, or taking the Biscoff spread out and things like that, you can start to add these things back in. Maybe you can go with semi-skim milk again. Maybe you can add in a bit of Biscoff spread, peanut butter, or some honey or something like that, a bit of dark chocolate. You start to bulk out the same sort of meals instead of then trying to reinvent the wheel and getting really, really full on the foods that you are having. So I'm gonna show you today a little bit about how I manage my dieting, especially when I was dieting to get lean for the summer just gone, and how you can make the same meals higher or lower in calories, and just some of the tips and tricks along the way. So I hope you find some value in that. This is gonna be the first meal, 573 calories. It tastes incredible. It would still taste good without the added stuff in there. You could also add in something like flavor drops instead of the Biscoff spread or something like that. But I've got quite a few calories to play around with now, and I love Biscoff. So Biscoff is in there, but it's still being weighed out. It's still being measured, and it's only 10 grams, so it's not loads. So it's all about keeping things simple. I will typically have oats in the morning every single day, and then I mix between a couple of lunches. It's going to be eggs. I don't really have any carbs. I'm not going to go and buy a load of bagels or a loaf of sourdough because we are leaving on Friday. So today's going to be a little bit more about what I would have when I was dieting with the eggs and how to bulk it out and then how to make it less calories. And then I think it's pasta for dinner. So I'll show you what that all looks like. And yeah, hopefully you get some value from that and some tips and tricks on how I just keep things simple. I'm just reducing the volume and then adjusting the calories in order to fit where I'm at with what I want to achieve. All right, so have a look at these oats. This Airbnb is so dark, so hopefully you can see all right, but this is it. Tell me that doesn't look absolutely banging. Now this is for me and Kat. There is only one like Tupperware here, so I've been making them, and I like making them myself. There's no way she's touching any of that. I've got slightly more than her, so we have a daily battle about how much is left for each of us. But I'm technically on, well, I'm definitely on more calories than her at the moment, so I have a little bit more than her. But this is like really tasty. It's packed full of nutrients. You've got a load of frozen fruit in there. I forgot to say that I have a little bit, we both have a crushed Biscoff biscuit on there. If you didn't realize, I love Biscoff. But that's packed full of nutrients, loads of protein in there as well. And it tastes really good and digests very, very well. So for Kat, for example, because hers is slightly less calories, she's got a smaller portion size. She doesn't have the dark chocolate in there either, but it's a really easy meal to then make higher in calories or lower in calories. I would take out the Biscoff biscuit. I would take out the Biscoff spread. I would take out the dark chocolate. I'd take out the milk. But then I'm having the same meal. I would probably just add a little bit more fruit in there for way less calories. Keep it simple. I'm about halfway through this at the moment and no one wants to hear me chew. But another way that I would look at bulking this out, or not another way, what else I could add into it, and what I will be adding into it because my calories are on the increase, is going to be something like a banana. It doesn't have to be with the stuff like more Biscoff spread and things like that. Those things are useful to add in, A, for taste if you like it, but B, for calories that aren't going to actually fill you up. That's one thing that can be quite difficult sometimes when you are increasing your food, is that you do get quite full up. I could smash so much of this, but how I'm going to add in more calories is going to be with something like a banana as well. So it's going to be an extra 100 to 140 depending on how big the banana is. But that's another way to bulk out the same sort of meal, adding more good things into it. Now, like I say, if I had this whole thing, it's probably going to be about 800 calories. Now, there's going to be a time and a place for that because I absolutely will do it. But yeah, it tastes unbelievable. Meal number 2. It's not going to sound very exciting. Typically, I would have eggs, and I am having eggs today. But again, we are leaving here in a couple of days, so we don't have tons of options. But here, you will see eggs in a bowl ready to be scrambled. And that is 3 whole eggs and then 100 mils of egg whites. The best thing about here in supermarkets, I mean, I know you can get them elsewhere, liquid egg whites, absolute game changer. But I'm pretty much going to be having that on its own and then saving more calories for later on because I'm going to be having pasta. But the way to include more calories and take more calories away, and the way that I do it, same sort of meal, but instead of 3 egg whites and then, instead of 3 whole eggs and then egg whites as well, I might just have 4 whole eggs. More calories, same sort of meal. When I'm dieting, I'll probably take out the whole eggs a little bit and I'll go for 1 whole egg and then more egg whites. Same meal, but less overall calories. And then I might include a bagel, or I might include a couple slices of sourdough. Maybe I'll add in some avocado, that sort of thing. But when I'm dieting, those things will pretty much come out. So I'm still hitting the protein, it's still healthy, but I'll pack it out with something else, like cherry tomatoes is something I go for. So loads of calories, but loads of volume, but for barely any calories. So that's what I'm doing now, so long as it's seasoned well. This is a game changer on your eggs if you don't have it. This is some piri piri. A bit of spice goes down really, really well. But another simple way to have similar foods, but going through different phases. This is what I'm working with. I found some veg and put it in. Loads of volume. Barely any calories. Loads of protein. But you can add more calories to it. You can take calories away. And this, it's not the final meal of the day actually, because I've still got a yogurt bowl to have, but this is dinner. If you come and have a look at all of this, we've got pasta tonight because we are using up the pasta. My protein is here, the tofu side of things. But if you're dieting, what can you do differently to have a similar sort of meal? What I would do here is have the same, or one of the same sort of protein sources, and what I might do is look to sub out the pasta for something a little bit more calorie friendly. So maybe the potatoes, so the carb source can be the thing that you change, or what you cook with as well. So I've cooked the tofu here and a little bit of fry light in with the pasta as well when I've been cooking that. If you wanted to bulk out your food even more, you might cook with olive oil. You might add in some low-fat mozzarella or some full-fat mozzarella. It's the same, it's a way to add in more calories having the same thing. Now, the role reversal of that is I'd probably sub out the pasta just because you get way more bang for your buck with potatoes. So that's another way to have similar foods, but for less calories. And then maybe you could look to have, when you've got more food to play around with, something like garlic bread that you can chuck on the side, or might add in some more veg or something like that. But that's the way that I would do it with this sort of meal personally. Either sub it out for potatoes or sub it out for something like rice, which might digest a little bit better, which it does for me. And that is the third meal of the day, I think it is. And then I'll show you the yogurt bowl when I'm gonna be having that.